Welcome along, guys. I'm still on the Super Duke. I'm still riding the delicious, I keep an high beam on, the delicious 1290R. I am falling in love with this bike, but this video is as promised. I promised you guys an overview of how all the electronics work on this bike. I did it for the Tuono. It's only fair we compare them to the Super Duke. Roll the intro. Right, now I've had this now for about a week and a half, just under. I've got this for another 3 days and then it goes back to KTM. So this is my final bit of enjoyment with this bike, and as I say, I'm absolutely loving it. I'm getting to grips with the electronics. It's definitely harder to use than the Tuono was, the electronics on it. A little bit more finicky, I suppose, a little bit more restrictive, but still absolutely fine. So what has this bike got? Now, as you know, first of all, not everything on this bike comes as standard. There's some things which you have to unlock. The unlockables are the quick shifter and blipper, the adjustable traction control, so you can adjust the traction control, so you can turn the anti-wheelie on and off. That all comes in the track package. You can just buy the quick shifter separately, but that's all combined in what they call the track package. And they also get something called MSR, which is, I can't remember the acronym, motorcycle, no, MSR, the motor slip regulator. Basically that works backwards to what traction control works. This bike, you've all heard of slipper clutches. Well, this bike has got a slipper clutch, but the MSR works in conjunction with the slipper clutch. So when you knock it down in perhaps a bit too high a gear where it could potentially lock the rear wheel, what it does is actually apply a bit of engine acceleration to speed up the rear wheel. So it's like opposite to what traction control does, where traction control is obviously taking power away to the wheel. The MSR adds power to the wheel. So it's basically to reduce engine braking is the basic what it's for, but that is included, it works with the traction control, and those two things combined are in the track package. Now, how does it all work? I'm sure you want to know. Well, of course, this bike's got the lovely TFT display, which I've been really impressed with. It does swap between light and dark modes quite a lot. I think it could do with staying in one or the other modes a little bit longer, or perhaps an average light duration over 10 seconds or something, because it's just flip-flop back and forth quite a lot, and it's a little bit irritating. But you can read it fine in sun, at night, it's fine. What I do like about this bike, it's got a lot of information available. You've of course got a fuel gauge, the blessed fuel gauge. At last we have a bike with a decent fuel gauge. It's also got a load of other information which you can access by pressing the set button. You've got oil temperature, which I absolutely love. I love oil temperature. I prefer oil temperature to a water temperature. It's much more useful. You've also got your two different trip functions. Fuel range till empty, 220 miles, so it reckons. Different rider modes, of course. Sport, street, track. Rain mode's pretty standard. The rain mode actually reduces horsepower. The other modes are just really about feel of throttle response. You've also got tyre pressure indicators, which I really like. I'm constantly wanting to check my tyre pressures. If the bike doesn't feel quite right, or I'm always like, oh, what's the tyre pressures? Let's go and check them. That's the top level menu, if you like. It cycles through that info. If you want to go in and change anything, you then press the select button. Now, let's have a look at what you get with the track pack first of all, because that's the big one. That's the quick shifter, that's the blipper, that's the being able to adjust the level of traction control, and also turning off the anti-wheelie, which you definitely want to do. So if we go down to this one, and that gives you the track, press select, go down into track, and then once you've gone into track mode, it tells you what options you've got selected. So I've got launch control on. I've yet to test it. I will test it. Anti-wheelie off. So if you just press the back button and you're back to the main menu. When you're in track mode, you can then see you have a red speedo to let you know something's different, that you're in track mode. It tells you your throttle response is in track throttle response, which gives you a super sharp throttle. And there's this other thing called slip. Now the slip is the amount of traction control you have. So up and down on the buttons will increase and decrease your amount of traction control. So level 1 is sort of more or less 0, well, just above 0 traction control. That's when you can start using the slide control and all that schnizzles. What we'll do actually, we'll put it in traction level 8 and see if we can get any sort, because I've actually not noticed any intervention whatsoever. And that it's either a very, very good system, or I've just not been giving enough throttle to actually activate it. It can't be that, it can't be. An annoyance with the track mode is I like to have the anti-wheelie off. I love the wheelie potential of this bike. It is really lovely to wheelie. So I like to keep the wheelie control off, but when you're in track mode, which is the only place you can be with the wheelie control off, you don't have a clock or anything. You've got the track features only on the display and there's no clock, which I find a little bit annoying. You've got to come out of track mode, back into regular mode to then see what the time is. But that's just a little quirk, and that is just me liking to know what the time is. You've also got launch control when you're in track mode. You only get 3 tries at it, then you've got to leave it for half hour to cool down, let the bike cool down. You can't do it while the bike is being run in, which is fair enough. Or if the bike's too hot, it's not available as well. So that's the track stuff. Oh, the blipper and the quick shifter. Quick shifter, blipper, very good. I think it's a difficult engine to get a really smooth flip and shift, but just because it's a big, a big V twin, it's very thumpy, but they've managed it. But you can do second to first. You can sort of feel that anti-rear wheel lock working, that MSR working. When you knock it down, it can be a little bit jerky at times. So yeah, blipper, quick shifter, I've been impressed with it. It works really well. But if I had one of these, I would pay the extra and unlock the quick shifter and the blipper. I definitely have to, because I want to be able to turn off anti-wheelie, and it's nice to have the adjustable traction control as well. So I think it's a must-have, to be honest, and I don't know why it's locked out. It should be their standard, it really should. Other electronics on this which comes standard is you've got cruise control, which is nice on long trips. It works exactly the same as what the Toronto one did. You have to be 4th gear and above. You have to be going faster than around 50 miles an hour. But it's just the same. Let's get on a faster bit of road and I will demonstrate. We need a demo. It's also got, on the ABS, you can turn the ABS on and off with the track mode. It's also got cornering ABS as well. That is just a standard. And it's also got cornering traction control, slide control as well. So it's got the full IMU of all that lovely stuff. To activate it, you push the little nodule to the left and you get this additional bit of information on the screen. And then it's just a simple case of pulling the little lever towards you. Sorry, yes, towards you. And now it's now set. You can let go of the throttle. It sort of gets you to the speed. It's not, if you're not at that, or if you get a bit of headwind, it'll actually start to drop and it'll slowly bring you back up again. It's quite lazy the way it brings you back to the speed you selected, which I find quite amusing. You can now accelerate if you want. Let go and it will drop down to 48 again. The throttle has a little extra push forward. If you push the throttle forward, it then deactivates it. So that is exactly like the Tuono. Once you've got it activated, you then just adjust the cruise control up and down on the little lever, so you slowly go up, slowly go down. To deactivate it, just push it to the left, and that turns off the cruise completely. The other nice little thing it's got is the self-cancelling indicators. They work basically on a timer, so they indicate for 10 seconds and then they turn off. You can't adjust that. So if you're indicating on a motorway exit, you're giving yourself a good period of indication before you turn off. You can find they go off before you've actually taken the manoeuvre. There you go, it's gone off. So they don't stay on very long. I think 15 or even 20 seconds would be a better period, because you know that can be, turning off too early can be just as dangerous as staying on too long, and I don't think 10 seconds is quite enough. What else has she got? What else is this beast equipped with? The other big one on the electronics, which I almost forgot about, is the keyless ignition. There's no key needed. Well, it's needed, it needs to be in your pocket, which I love bikes with keyless ignition. I fitted an aftermarket keyless ignition to Beastie, my Beastie, because I like it. I'm always one for forgetting the key, or I leave the key in the bike or whatever. Now the keyless ignition works by the bike. It has to be within 1.5 meters of the bike, so in your pocket's fine, but away from the bike you won't be able to start it. What you basically do is just push the key button when you're in range and you've got the key on you, and it will light up and it will turn on. It also works to fuel cap, so when the bike is off you can just open the fuel cap, and it'll also work the steering lock, which is quite a nice touch. Now the whole ride-by-wire system on this is actually really nice. The throttle response is really good. It can be a little tiny bit sluggish if you give it a quick handful when you're in a higher gear, but that's the same with almost every Euro 4 bike out there. I think that's just how they get around some of the emission control. The Tuono that is a lot of sheep. That is a lot of sheep. The Tuono was just the same. Just the same. That was worse. If you give it a quick handful, you can almost, if you're quick enough, the bike wouldn't actually respond. But that is just a Euro 4 thing. Change the exhaust, get a remap, your throttle response issues are completely cured. One thing I do like about the anti-wheelie, if you have got the anti-wheelie on, it does allow the bike to wheelie a little bit. The Aprilias do not let you wheelie, even with the wheelie control at the lowest level. You won't let you wheelie, whereas this will let you have a bit of fun. This will let the wheel come up over rises. I mean, Christ, you've got a 1290 Super Duke, you obviously like a light front end, or you would never have bought this bike. So the wheelie control does let you have a little bit of fun, which I really like. I like that a lot. But if you want to do proper wheelies, you have to turn it off. So yeah, the electronics are great, they work nicely, but a tiny little bit clunky to use, where you've got to go in and out of the menu selecting things. It's fine, it's perfect, but I hate to draw comparisons to the Tuono, but the Aprilia ones do work a lot better, where you can just adjust anything from anywhere. Having to go into a sub menu to turn off your anti-wheelie, and it seems a little bit limiting, which is a bit of a shame. But would it stop me buying the bike because of that? Absolutely not. Uh-oh. Oh, Christ. That wasn't good. No, in the middle of the road. What a dick.